Hi and welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. So I just want to say a special thank you to the people that got my dressing gown gag last week, and that was on my episode, which was about self-partnering. And you would have had to have seen the video before, which was the 3 modes to healing, to have got what that gag was about. But you know, it's just so refreshing that I can wear my dressing gown if I have to. So if I do like a really long day and I'm exhausted, thank you guys for accepting that I could be wearing my dressing gown. That's just so refreshing. I can't tell you how much freedom that gives me to know that I can do that. So I'm not wearing my dressing gown today, and today is such an exciting day because today I'm in my new abode. I'm in my little place that I've been renovating for a year, and I've moved in, and this week's been mad. It's been crazy, and that's why you might have seen I've gone a little bit missing on Facebook and not as active as normal because, oh my God, moving is so full on when you have a global internet business, when you have to sell furniture, when you have to organize you know, your other place. It's just, you guys know what moving's like. We've all done it. It's crazy. So here I am in my new place, and I want to take you on a little tour because a lot of people said, well, we really want to see it. And I put pictures up on Facebook, but I really want to share this with you guys because this is so much about what thriving's all about. So I'm just going to put on this little shoulder bag because I've got my wire in it, and it's just going to make it easier because I can't disconnect the tripod and stuff because then I'd have to screw you on and you'd probably you know, get really dizzy spinning around and stuff. So I'm going to try and do this the easiest way. All right, so now I'm just going to condense the tripod, and this isn't going to take long because truly this place is not big. It's really not big. Okay, so let's start off with, that is my little dining table area. And you can sort of see that's back at the couch where I'm sitting. And I'll just turn around. Oh, the whiteboard. Who did that? Okay, so that's my shelves. And you can see there's like an open space that goes through to the bedroom. And here we have, oops. This is my kitchen, and you can see that's like the Euro laundry because this place is tiny, so it has to, and there's going to be like a cupboard door go in front of that. So this is my kitchen, which is pretty, like it's not a great deal to it, but it really, really works. And if I stand on this, the bottles of wine, so the girls, when you come over, we're going to be able to sit in front of the fire and have a drink. And you might be able to see there, I'm trying to get the best angle because if I go in there, it's too small. Okay, so that's to outside, which isn't done yet. And here we have the double-sided fireplace. So there's a TV on either side, and that's just gorgeous when it's going. It's too warm today to have it on. Now here we have the bathroom, and this is all open living. So the only area that is enclosed is actually the toilet, which is sort of quite funky. And here we have the open shower. So that all goes to outside, and there's going to be eventually a spa bath out there and a deck and sort of like a Bali hut setting. And if we go into the bathroom and look back at the view, that's me clicking the tripod. So you can see that this is the bathroom, and this is the view back to the bedroom from the bathroom, which is pretty cool. I love this place. I just love it. I've never felt happier anywhere, truly. So that's it. There's not much to it really. So I'm going to take you back, and then we're going to do a Thriver TV episode. All right, let's just make sure that's in the right spot. Beautiful. I'll make sure the wires are fine. It's nothing worse than having to redo an episode. Okay. All right, so I hope that I can take this off now. I hope that you really enjoyed that tour as quick as it was. So today's Thriver TV episode is another one of the Clearing Our Susceptibilities to Narcissists. And this one is about crises consciousness. And this is such a big topic because a lot of people suffer from it. And maybe you've never heard that expression before, crisis consciousness. So I'm going to describe it, like what it feels like. So have you ever felt that feeling of that guilt of there's something I should be doing and I can't sit still, and I feel like if I don't dot all my I's and cross my T's, that something's going to go wrong. I can't relax. I can't just be. My brain's always ticking and I've always got to be doing something. And maybe you feel guilty about taking any time out of just stopping and being and doing nothing. And you feel like your mind just can't shut down. There's always, 10 people having a party in there. So I call this crisis consciousness, and crisis consciousness is really it's an obsessive compulsive behaviour where we always feel like we've got to be hyper vigilant and we're trying to control our environment, and we don't feel safe, we don't feel at peace with life, we don't feel like life has got our back, and we feel like we've got to continually take matters into our own hands. And it feels like that if we're not all over something or everything all the time, that something is going to go wrong. It feels like we've always got a monkey on our back and we're always going to have bad luck and bad things happen to me if I'm not controlling everything. So we can feel like we're living in like this constant damage control. And for a lot of us, it can feel really normal, like a lot of our skirmishes do. It feels like, well, I don't know any other way to live. This is the way I've always lived, and this is the way I was parented. And maybe with your parents, you have this relationship where they're always saying to you, well, have you done this? Have you done that? And you feel like if you ever talk to them about just your own life and your feelings, that they're not present, like their brains are ticking and they're thinking down completely different tracks. They're in survival programs, which is what's important is what you have done and what you haven't done, and making sure that, everything, all the bases are covered. They can't just be with you. So you weren't taught to just be, you weren't taught connection just for the sake of connection. It was always about practicalities and looking after your environment. And maybe your parents were always pretty impatient and they were frustrated and they were sort of on that hamster wheel always of, doing and doing and doing. And they didn't know how to be, and they certainly didn't program you or teach you how to be. And maybe you really learnt through their example that the only way that you could shut down and you could be was through things like alcohol or, maybe you needed to turn to marijuana to shut down. And maybe, you've needed sleeping tablets to be able to, your brain to stop to go to sleep. And there's a really big, deeper, wider truth with crisis consciousness, and that is that the entire human species was built on survival programs and crisis consciousness. And back in history, it was really, really necessary for people to be on high alert and high productivity in order to survive. Look at what the pioneers and the settlers went through when in the medieval times, defending your territory. Otherwise, you were literally murdered. You had to be on high alert, otherwise you weren't going to live. However, in the evolution of the human species now, which is all about coming home to peace, harmony, oneness, unity consciousness, which is knowing that we are co-creators, that there is no separation, and we're co-creators with all of existence and life. And when we're in a state of peace and harmony and space in our cells, which is expansion and radiance, that life actually picks up the pieces and starts generating miracle, solution and breakthrough with us effortlessly. And we still do, but we're doing from a place of creation and inspiration rather than damage, control and survival and pain and fear. And there's just a massive, massive difference, because now being in cortisol and adrenaline, which is survival programs and crisis consciousness, is not productive. It's actually destructive, because it's snapping us off from the field and the consciousness that's going to allow us to generate healthy outcomes. So when we're in crisis consciousness, what happens is it keeps us in survival programs, and it keeps us in a battle with life, where we believe that we're having a battle with life. And I've just described to you my entire previous life that I thought was normal. I was brought up with crisis consciousness. I lived out crisis consciousness. I could not sit still for 10 seconds without the guilt of what I should be doing. I couldn't switch off. I couldn't shut down. I always had this foreboding feeling, this terrible feeling that something was going to go wrong at any moment if I wasn't all over everything. So my life was simply a series of damage control, high productivity, working hard and not smart, so many fires to put out constantly. And this was even before narcissistic abuse. And, you know, certainly in narcissistic abuse, it just took it to a whole nother level. And I really have seen so many people in crisis consciousness in this community who have been abused by narcissists. So how is crisis consciousness a big hook in regard to being attracted to narcissists, narcissists being attracted into your space like sharks to blood? And you know why we get hooked into a frenzy with them of trying to sort out their issues and life and all of the disasters that are going on, etc., etc. Well, the thing is, narcissists are a complete match for crisis consciousness, because they're crazy, they're loose, they're non-accountable, they don't play by the rules. They hate to be pinned down, they hate to be accountable, and they hate to show up in integrity, because then they feel controlled. So narcissists, when you're with a narcissist, you feel like you're walking on broken glass. You don't know what's going to hit. You don't know when it's going to hit. You don't know when the next devastation to your emotions and your life is going to happen, and they are happening, and they do happen. So, they completely match the beliefs of life is tough, life is a struggle, life could annihilate me at any moment. They are a complete match for all of the beliefs that we have when we are running the belief systems and the programs of crisis consciousness. And then, of course, they fulfill the belief, and that's what our belief systems do. They co-generate with life the validity of our belief to the letter. So narcissists are an exact match for that. They bring us the trauma of the trauma that we're trying to fend off constantly, which is just co-generating more trauma. And it's this vicious cycle of, I feel like I'm going to be traumatized, I'm trying to offset that, but then I'm getting traumatized anyway. That's exactly the cycles of narcissistic abuse. So it's big. This is really, really big. And when we understand survival programs, we realize that they're very, very powerful. Survival programs, which crisis consciousness is literal beliefs of, if I don't do this, I could be dead, literally. And this is the fact that when we have DNA in certain belief systems that is never upgraded, now we got this from our forebears. This was passed on and passed on, and this is why it's so serious, is because if we don't up level and we don't come out of crisis consciousness, we're simply programming our offspring and our future generations to live in survival programs of crisis consciousness, when there's just such a better way to live, a much better way to live. So how do we solve this? How do we heal these survival programs? Well, we don't, like we heal all our skirmishes, we don't try to think our way out of belief systems that aren't serving us, powerful ones, because we have no ability to do that. And the reason we don't have any ability to do that is because our brain can only think within the range on that topic that our belief systems fall in. So our brain does not have access to more evolved, peaceful, embodied beingness beliefs. Our brain can try and tell us anything it wants to tell us, but it does not have access to a shift in our embodied being, which is what we need. So our brain is not going to beat this. It's like trying to swim upstream with a brick on your head. You can't do it. So what do we need to do? What we need to do with all of our skirmishes, what we need to do is we need to get into our body. We need to track through our emotions. We need to feel this terror in our body. If I take my foot off the pedal and controlling everything, oh my God, my whole world's going to fall apart. All of those sorts of feelings, we have to self-partner, which was what last week's episode was all about. We need to meet ourselves. We need to be with those emotions. And I had to do a lot of work on this stuff, a huge amount of work in this stuff, because all of my beliefs were life is not safe. And it was really funny, you know, years ago, a good friend of mine, he said to me, Melanie, it's like you get out of bed in the morning and life says, aha, there she is. Because all of this crazy, awful stuff used to happen to me constantly. My life was just full of disasters and dramas, because they were fulfilling my beliefs. Was I'm not safe in life, I'm going to get annihilated. That's literally how I felt. And then I was batting and struggling and fighting and surviving in life to try to survive all of the results of those beliefs. Whereas now, my beliefs are life just flourishes and nourishes me constantly. Like life has my back. Life adores me unconditionally because I exist. They're my beliefs now. So I just don't have the drama. In fact, I have the exact opposite, that if I accidentally, you know, leave a purse behind in a restaurant, somebody will always pick it up and run after me. Or, you know, I've left things on the roof of my car and I've pulled up and somebody said, have a look on the roof of your car. Oh my God. And I've gone, oh, I can't believe, you know, that's my life now. Just the most gorgeous synchronicities that always dig me out of disaster if I do something really sort of brainless or stupid, which I'm quite capable of doing. So, which we're all capable of doing. So I hope but the thing is, I was never going to beat it cognitively, logically. Like there was no way. It was only through up-leveling, self-partnering, going into my body, meeting those traumas and those terrors directly, being with myself. Where is this in my body? How old am I? A lot of it was ancient. It was very, very old, this stuff. And it was very old in my DNA. It had been there for a long, long time. And being able to load it up, spiral it out, bring in source, which is higher truth, higher self, which creates space, which then becomes embodied wisdom and knowing, which is our true self state, which is that we're at one. It's only our beliefs that separate us from that and put us into high anxiety and trauma. It's not the truth. So this is what this is all about. So I really hope that this is making sense to you and how huge this is in regard to narcissistic abuse, because what we want to do is when we up level is be on a completely different vibrational note in our energy field, which means our emotional self and our belief systems, to what narcissists are. And narcissists are in constant crisis consciousness. That's exactly how they live. Now, it doesn't mean we're bad people and we don't have integrity. It just means that we can have many, many matches that are all just separation from true self, that can match people that are separated from true self, which is narcissists. Now, the difference is obviously we can up level and we can work on ourselves and we can be really accountable and say, well, you know, if something's not working in my life, well, then there's an inner belief that I can tweak, that I can heal, that I can up level so that this thing does work in my life. That's what the Thriver Way and the Thriver Promise is all about. So if you want to learn more about that, I would love you to connect up to my free resources, and you can do that by clicking the link that appears on this video. And that's it from me for this week. So keep smiling, keep healing, keep thriving, because there is nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.